Are you just now getting into lawn care? Maybe you just bought a home and this is really your first time taking care of a yard, or maybe you're in sports field maintenance and you just came here for some beginner tips. Well, I've got the best beginning lawn care tips and hacks for you, so stay tuned and watch this entire video for some wonderful hacks. So the first hack I want to talk about is mowing. So this is springtime. We're coming into sort of late spring right now. Some of you may be mowing your yard for the first time right now, which is a very important time of year. So when you're mowing for the first time, you really want to take away all that dormant grass that's just been sitting there all winter long and make room for new growth. Okay, so depending on what part of the country you live in, here in the South, we mostly deal with Bermuda, zoysia lawns, even centipede and St. Augustine grasses. Well, a lot of our grass goes dormant, especially Bermuda and zoysia grass. It goes dormant in the wintertime. So when it's coming out of dormancy in the springtime, go ahead and mow. The key to your yard greening back up is all about the temperature of the soil. So what you want to do is cut away all that thatch, all that brown dormant grass that's there. And you want to go ahead and cut it short. Some people refer to it as scalping your yard, but I really don't like the term scalping because that makes people think that they want to cut their grass all the way down to the dirt. That's not what you want to do. You can still call it scalping if you want to, but the idea is to mow your lawn as short as possible to allow the sunlight to penetrate the soil and warm up the soil temperature. When your grass is greening up, it's all about the temperature of the soil. So when your grass is shorter, that allows the sunlight to penetrate the soil and warm that soil temperature up. So that's really your first step, and that's the first thing you want to do to get your lawn green back up. So I mentioned thatch. So if you're cutting away a lot of that dormant grass that's been there all winter long, you're going to have a lot of thatch. So that is the buildup of grassy materials over time. Now, if you have a thick layer of thatch in your yard, that's going to prevent the sunlight from penetrating the soil. I just talked about that. So you want to dethatch your lawn. So what does dethatching mean? Well, there are machines that can handle that for you, but I personally like just manually doing it. So it's all about getting a rake, raking that thatch layer out of your lawn. If you have a small lawn, that's pretty easy to do. Just make a full day of work. So get that rake out there, rake out all that thatch, okay? Get all that stuff. You can break it up in piles and just manually remove it and get it out of there. Although there are companies that offer machines, and of course you can pay someone to do that, but it's good exercise. Just get a rake and get out there and rake all that thatch up and remove it. Just get it out of there. The next hack I want to talk about is aeration. So what is aeration? The aeration is essentially plugging a bunch of little holes in your yard that allows sunlight and airflow to get deep into the soil of your lawn. So you can rent machines to do this from Lowe's, Home Depot, and places like that. But also this is a service that a lot of lawn care companies provide, and they'll do an aeration for you. If you have someone who mows your yard for you, they should know a place where they could rent an aerator from. But the reason you want to aerate your yard, again, is just sort of loosen up the soil. It's going to allow airflow with sunlight to and rainwater also to get into the soil. After an aeration, your soil is able to sort of move around a little bit, okay? Think of it like that. It's going to allow the roots of your grass to grow a little bit deeper. So it loosens up your soil, and that's really the purpose of an aeration. Kind of loosen up the soil, allow the roots of the grass to grow deeper. If you live in one of these newer neighborhoods where they don't really prep the soil too much, when they build these houses, they just lay sod directly on junk, basically. It's just hard, rocky soil. There could be gravel underneath your lawn. Aeration may help that a little bit, but you may just be dealing with a property that just does not have healthy soil. So top dressing is the next hack you want to do. So bring in a good mix of sand and topsoil. You don't want to bring in field dirt, okay? Just dirt that's taken away by construction companies. You'll see a sign that says buy your field dirt here. That's not what you want, because when that gets rained on, it turns hard, turns into concrete basically. And a lot of times that has gravel in it as well. So you want to mix a good healthy mix of topsoil and sand, something soft that's going to allow your grass to grow through. And you can use this same mix in little divots and holes and things like that you so maybe when you're mowing your yard, you hit a hole or something and the lawnmower blade just hacks down into the ground. Well, you can use this same mix, topsoil and sand, to fill in these holes to even it out. So getting back on the topic of mowing, you may want to get used to spraying off the underside of your mower, especially if you have a lot of weeds in your yard. So weeds like, here, let me show you here. We got some poana here, a bunch of little broadleaf and grassy weeds. So you don't want to end up spreading these weeds throughout your yard. So a lot of times, let's just say you're mowing your yard in the morning when the dew is still on the ground. A lot of these weed seeds will get stuck on the bottom of your mower. So just get in a regular habit of spraying off underneath your mower each time you mow, just to prevent spreading your weed seeds. Now you also want to get in a good habit of using sharp mower blades. If you're using dull mower blades, you're going to really end up just ripping your grass out of the ground. You want some good, solid, sharp mower blades that cut the grass evenly. So that's really my next hack. Just make sure you keep sharp mower blades. Now, as far as your mowing schedule goes, I think it's a good idea to mow once a week. There are some people who mow every 3 or 4 or 5 days, and that's okay. They can do that. But I think once a week is a good mowing schedule to get on. Don't let it go more than 2 weeks without mowing. Definitely mow every 2 weeks, but don't let it go too far, because then the grass is going to be tall. You never want to mow more than 2/3 of the grass tissue away at one time. So if you go on vacation and your grass has grown up pretty high, don't hack it down really low on one mowing. You may want to gradually bring that down within a 3 to 5 day period. So never mow away more than 2/3 of the grass tissue away at one time. If you do that, your grass is going to end up kind of suffering. You're going to stress it out a bit because you're mowing away too much grass tissue at one time. And mow in different patterns each time you mow. I know most people mow in the same exact pattern every single time they mow, and they end up creating ruts in their yard where their tires go every single time. Now, in some cases, you may think that this looks good, but I personally like just mowing in different patterns each time I mow to prevent creating those ruts in your yard. So if you're mowing side to side, next time go the opposite way, go front to back in your yard. So just mow in different patterns each time you mow to prevent making ruts in your yard. And this goes without saying, but don't mow after a hard rain. You don't want to create those kind of ruts in your yard either. So if your yard is a muddy swamp, do not get your mower out there, especially if it's a riding mower, and create a bunch of muddy ruts in your yard. So make sure your yard kind of dries out before you mow. So watering. What's your watering schedule? A lot of people I talk to say they water every other day, or they water 3 times a week. And then my next question is, what's your, how long are you watering for? Let's just say you have a few different zones at your house. How long are those zones watering for? Some people say they're watering for 15 minutes per zone. Some people say they're watering an hour per zone. Well, let me tell you my opinion of what you should do. So if you've never heard the term watering deeply, that's what you want to do. Now, what does that mean? What does watering deeply mean? Well, it means watering your lawn for longer periods of time, but infrequently. Okay, so when I say infrequently, I mean just once a week, maybe twice a week. So you can water for 45 minutes, but only once a week. So if you water for 45 minutes every single day, you're going to end up oversaturating your yard. And I know how some people think. They're like, well, the more water, the better. Well, if you overwater your yard, you're going to create swamp-like conditions. You don't want to be walking through your yard and hear squishing sounds with every step that you take. That's not the type of lawn that you want to create for yourself. So I would suggest just watering deeply once, maybe twice a week, no more than twice a week for longer periods of time, which would be 30 to 45 minutes. So what about fertilizer? So I'm in the lawn care business and I work with fertilizer and weed control and pre-emergent and things like that. So I only like to do 2 granular fertilizer treatments per growing season. So right now I'm putting out for all of my customers a granular fertilizer that is high in nitrogen. So that's going to help green the grass up, which really that's what most customers and most homeowners really want, right? They just want green grass. And now the fertilizer is also going to help the grass grow, but a higher nitrogen is going to help green the grass up. So the nitrogen, that's the part of fertilizer that greens grass up. So fertilizer has 3 different chemicals in it. So if you go to a store, big box store or wherever, and you see a bag of fertilizer, it's going to have 3 numbers on it: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. That's what the 3 numbers are. But the first number is always nitrogen. So if you're concerned about the color of your grass and you want it green, nitrogen, that first number, that's really what you're looking at. So I do 1 granular fertilizer in the spring, early summer, and then I do a second fertilizer application mid-summer. Okay, so maybe July would be your second fertilizer application. And really those 2 granular fertilizers will be enough to get your grass through the growing season. Now, I know a lot of people who apply fertilizer every 2 or 3 weeks. You have to be really careful with that. So that nitrogen that we were just talking about in fertilizer can also burn your grass if you put too much of it down within short periods of time. So you really want to avoid what's called burning your grass, which is essentially just putting too much fertilizer down. You're over chemicalizing your lawn, and that's not what you want to do. So next I want to talk about weed identification and weed control. So if your yard looks like this area right here, this is predominantly weeds right here. Now we're in the shade, we're kind of under some trees right here. So the grass here, the actual sodded grass right here, is very thin. And this is just predominantly weeds that are growing here. So if this is your main concern, if you want to get rid of all your weeds, you really wanted to start back in the fall and winter with pre-emergent treatments. So that's what we're going to talk about next, is what is pre-emergent. So pre-emergent is a product that you apply to your yard that prevents weeds from growing before they emerge, before they start germinating underground. So it's too late here for pre-emergent right now, right? Because the weeds are already out. So here we would focus on a post-emergent herbicide, which is a product that you spray on weeds to kill them. So as a reminder, let's go back. So you want to apply pre-emergent throughout the fall and winter to prevent weeds like this from growing in the spring and summer. But if you're a little late to the game, if you were unable to apply pre-emergent to your yard, go ahead and focus on post-emergent products, which is just, you could call it weed killer, okay? It's just products that you spray on your yard to kill the weeds. Now make sure that it is safe for whatever type of grass that you have. So let's just say you have a Bermuda lawn, which this is Bermuda grass here with a bunch of weeds growing in. You want to make sure you read the label. Always read the label of whatever products you're going to be using. Make sure it's safe for Bermuda grass or whatever type of grass that you have. Let's say you have St. Augustine grass and you want to kill some weeds in your St. Augustine. Well, make sure that label says safe for St. Augustine grass. So you don't want to spray your whole yard for weeds and end up killing your grass as well. So I hope this video helped you. If you found value in this, please consider subscribing to my channel and help me grow this channel into a lawn care community. I really enjoy putting these videos out and helping people. So if you're a beginner in lawn care and you found value in these tips that I gave today, give me a like and subscribe to the channel and spread the word out there. Send this video to some other people who may need some tips and tricks and want some easy hacks for their yard. Thank you for watching.